Welcome to the Defining Moments podcast. I'm Rabbi David Fine. We're here at the beautiful DABRU studios in Modi'in. And today is very different for me from previous episodes of this podcast because today I have the honor of interviewing and speaking with my Rav here in Kilat Sharayon Menachem in Modi'in in Buchman neighborhood, and also my partner in Barkai, the Barkai Center for Practical Rabbinics and Community Development, which we together founded a little over 13 years ago. So again, it's a great honor. Welcome, Rav Sobol.
Shalom uvracha.
Okay, so before we get started with the formal discussion, I always ask people just take 2 minutes, 3 minutes to talk about yourself, where you were born, you know.
So my name is Shlomo Sobol. I was born in Yerushalayim. Actually, I'm a 10th generation Yerushalmi.
Wow.
I grew up in Katamon. I learned in Chorev in elementary school, and then I learned in Yeshiva Letzeirim of Merkaz HaRav in the high school. And then I continued to learn in Merkaz HaRav for many years. And I was in the army, in the Totchanim. And then we lived in Rishon. I was a rabbi in Rishon. And then we went for shlichut for 4 years in Michigan, in Southfield, Detroit. And then we came back 20 years ago. And from that time, I'm the rabbi of Kilat Sharayon Menachem in Modi'in. And like you said before, 13 years ago, we established together Barkai. I thank God I am married and I have kids and grandkids.
Okay, great. So we're recording this podcast, this episode, the day before Erev Rosh Hashana. So first of all, to have a rabbi come out here the day before Erev Rosh Hashana, maybe that's not a great thing. I was a pulpit rabbi for 10 years in America, and if somebody asked me to do that, I don't know what I would have said. But what I want to ask you is that I remember myself, right, in the period before the Chagim, before Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur, when a rabbi has to give so much to his community, right? People are just coming back from the summer, and you have to prepare for Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur. And here in Israel, which we didn't have in America, a lot of Olim come, and people are going back to the army. So how do you prepare yourself personally? Because you also are a Jew, right? And you, forgetting about your community for a second, you wanna prepare yourself. So how do you do that when you're so busy giving to everybody else?
First of all, you're right, 100% is the busiest time of the year. And also the only reason that I'm here is because of you, because we are good friends. And I wouldn't go to other place in this time of the year. And it's a good question. I think one thing is that when I prepare myself for the community is actually also preparing myself with myself. But I also try to find time to be with myself, to learn things that I want to myself as a preparation to Rosh Hashana, and also to think about the previous year and what was good, what wasn't so good, and to try to improve myself.
Okay. I always used to say that I would take 2 Rosh Hashanas compared to 1 Pesach. You said Rosh Hashanah is the busiest time of the year, and I know that you're also very busy before Pesach with all the questions on our Shul WhatsApp group. But okay, yes, certainly one could say that this is the busiest time of the year. So in terms of your preparation that you just spoke about, I'd ask you, when do you start thinking about what you're going to speak about on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and how do you develop the ideas, the topics that you want to talk about?
It's a very good question. I think my style, if I can say, is to think about what I'm going to say for a long time, but not to prepare the drasha a long time before Rosh Hashanah. I'm going with my thoughts and ideas, and when I have something that like, wow, this is a great thing to talk about. So, all right. So first of all, I relax. I have some idea that I want to talk. And then I started to go sometimes weeks with this idea and to think what exactly I want to say. And only a few days before Rosh Hashana, I mamash try to make it for point and to think how exactly I'm going to say it.
Well, I think that especially here in Israel, where if you write it a week before, something, as we see during these days, anything could always happen, and then you're going to want to address that. So it makes a lot of sense,
Right.
what you're saying.
Yeah, I say, every day I try to send a recorder to the Kehillah. So what you say is exactly right, because the recorder, I always do it only in the same day.
Right.
Because if I prepare the night before,
Right.
tomorrow morning it's totally different things.
Right. Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of terrible things happen. We've seen a lot of miracles, and as you spoke about yesterday, it's a very special time. Very bad in many ways, but thank God we see the Yad Hashem. So I want to just ask you a little bit about yourself. When you were young, did you ever think you were going to be a rabbi, a Rav Kehillah? And certainly, did you think that you were going to be a rabbi of a lot of Olim? I always say to people, and you've heard me say this many, many times, that there were more Israelis in my shul in Kansas City than there are in my shul in Modi'in. And people always laugh when I say that. Not one person has ever not laughed when I said that. And I always say to them, but it's true, right? So, about a pulpit rabbi in general, and then about a Kehillah of Olim.
So I didn't think about it when I was young. When I was young, I was to be pilot.
Really?
Yeah.
I've spent so much time with you over the last decade and a half, and I never knew that.
Yeah, and the reason that when I was in the high school, my glasses, it became worse and worse. So I realized that I cannot be a pilot. And when I finished high school, I wanted to be. I didn't know exactly what I want to be, but basically, I wanted to be like educator, to teach in a yeshiva or in a high school. I never thought about being a rabbi of community because, first of all, in Israel, it doesn't exist something like this. I grew up in Katamon. It was a great rabbi, Rav Eliezerov, a great tzaddik. He was called in Kerem B'Yavne. He was the rabbi of the underground people that were in jail, and he was a great rabbi. He was a role model for me, but he wasn't like a rabbi of the community. He was the rabbi of whole Katamon. So I never knew about this concept of being a rabbi. My decision to be a rabbi of community was when I was in shlichut, when our family was in shlichut.
But you were a rabbi in Rishon LeZion, right?
Ken, I was a rabbi. You're right. A year, 2 years before the shlichut, I learned in Rishon LeZion, and I gave shiurim and divrei Torah, and all of a sudden they asked me to be a rabbi, but I didn't know really what.
Right.
When I compare my rabbanut today and in that time, I'm shocked.
Right.
Yeah, because
black and white.
I just give a drashot in Leil Shabbat, and I do shiurim during the week, but I never make a phone call to people before Rosh Hashana to ask them how they feel. So only when they came to me, so I respond to their request. It wasn't, for me, when I compared, I didn't call it mamash rabbanut. Yeah.
So you mentioned that it doesn't really exist here, and we deal with this every day, and we've been trying to explain it, especially to people that live outside of Israel, because many people who live outside of Israel just assume that the community and the rabbinate, when I say the rabbinate, I mean with a small r, meaning the communal rabbinate, work the same way. And I think that many people are shocked because many people just visit with the Anglo communities, where the Anglo communities do have rabbis, but in the Israeli community, we always say that in the Dati Leumi, in the national religious community across the country, over 90% of shuls don't have any rabbi, and many of the ones that do, like you said, the rabbi only serves as a person who, like you said, who paskins, who gives drashot and shiurim, but not in the pastoral role. So why is that this model that has existed for actually thousands of years in the diaspora doesn't exist in Israel?
First of all, I think people don't know about this model because they grew up already in a model that there is a rabbi of the city, rabbi of the neighborhood.
People in Israel, you mean?
Okay, people in Israel. We talk about it many times in Barkai, that when they established the state of Israel, they tried that everything going to come from the government. So also the rabbanut is is one department in the government, and therefore they take care about all the religious needs. Right. So in one aspect, it's great because they take care about kashrut, as a rabbi of community here in Israel, I don't need to take care about eruv, about kashrut, about the kashrut of the mikveh. Right. So on one aspect, it's great, and it's good that the state of Israel take care about it, but they miss the point of connection with each family, so that was missed in Israel, and this is what we try to do. We try to show people that to have a rabbi is not, first of all, is not competition with the rabbi of the city. We don't try, chas v'shalom, to take from them a role. We just want to make an extra thing that missed in Israel, that there is no rabbi that know the family, know the kids, know the need of the community.
Right. And I'm asked this all the time. Well, what about the city rabbis? And most people don't understand. And again, it's not out of any lack of wisdom. It's just because people don't live here, right? People don't understand. Let's just take Modi'in, for example. We have over 100,000 people that live in Modi'in, and we only have 2 chief rabbis, right? So it's impossible for the chief rabbis to have an individual relationship with every person, obviously, in the city. And that's where the community rabbinate comes in. I'll just add one thing that, I always talk about when I speak in shuls in America, that this didn't happen by accident. Meaning, like you say, just to expand a little bit about what you said, this was Ben Gurion who wanted the state to have, be the supplier of all needs, because the state of Israel had to be grand and all that. And he didn't want the community that existed for all these thousands of years to continue to exist. He felt that it was like the Nebuch, Galut Jew, the diaspora Jew, and that was only needed in the diaspora, but it wasn't needed in a powerful, great state of Israel. And what I think we've seen, and you've taught me, that we obviously, now that you think about it 13 years back, everyone needs community. It's very, very difficult to live without a community.
Okay. And more than that, the Israeli, part of them, they scare of rabbi. They think that rabbi is coming to shul to control the shul and to tell people what to do. And it's totally not right. The rabbi is coming to the shul because he loves the community, he wants to contribute to what he can, and they just miss something great if they don't have rabbi. And thank God we see in front of our eyes that more and more communities decide to have rabbis, and this is a great change.
So I want to sharpen a point you made before, because I always tell the story, and I ask you to always tell the story when we're speaking to people. I mean, I came, just to tell you a little bit about, but to tell the people who are listening about myself, that I came and I was a rabbi, as I said, in North America, in Milwaukee and Kansas City for 5 years each, 10 years total. And as many people know, most people probably listen to this podcast, North American English-speaking rabbis that come to Israel often have a very challenging time because the model, the job doesn't really exist. And in the places that it does exist, in the Israeli world, they want, Israeli Hebrew-speaking rabbis. So I was, looking for things to do. And, all the advice that I got was that this is what rabbis in America do, in Israel. North American rabbis that come to Israel do. They teach in seminaries, they are tour guides, they raise money. And with all due respect to all those things, because they're all very important, I wanted to do something perhaps a little bit out of the box. So I'm like meeting with rabbis all over the place. I'm meeting with people all over the place. So one day I said to myself, I'll speak to my own rabbi. So we were sitting in Cafe Joe, Cup of Joe in English, in the mall, which doesn't even exist anymore. I think there's been at least 3 coffee shops there since we were there. And just to tell the story, basically you told me the same thing, that those are the things I could do. I got up to leave. Thank you very much. I wasn't going to be disrespectful to my rabbi. And then you said, oh, hold on, I have another idea. And you shared with me this idea about Barkai, about starting an organization that was going to not only train rabbis, because we train rabbis, that's only the means to an end, right? The means to an end, the end is to build a community. And you said to me how you thought of the idea. So could you just share that?
When I was in Michigan and I saw the community there, great community, I love the people there so much, I have connection with them until now. So I saw that there is a rabbi, and the rabbi, he knows how to lead community. And like I said before, it was after 2 years that I was rabbi in Rishon LeZion. I compared myself to this rabbi, and I said, "Oh my gosh, what I did." So I talked with him a lot, and he told me that he learned it. He learned it in YU, and he learned how to develop community and to talk and to be in touch with people. And I thought to myself, all these 4 years, why we don't have this role model in Israel, this model in Israel? And then, when I came back, I thought to myself, all right, it's really need. It's a big need in Israel to have it. And thank God I became a rabbi of Anglo community, and I learned in the 4 years that I was in Detroit, I learned how many things from the rabbi there. And but I thought to myself, why we don't make it wider? And thank God you made Aliyah, and I share with you the idea, because when I thought about it to myself, I talked with a few organizations, but no one took me seriously. And then when you made Aliyah and we talk about it, so it's really like it was open door. You also thought that this is a great need in Israel. And thank God, together we build it, and it's amazing. We succeeded to make a huge change in Israel, and more Bezrat Hashem.
So I'll tell the people listening what I told you and what I went home and told my wife. I told you and I told her a few things, but the first thing is that I said, I had only been in Israel for years. I said, I don't believe you. I don't believe that a place that trains rabbis and develops communities doesn't exist. And I remember what you told me. You said, well, if you don't believe me, let's go and find out. So we spent 14 months crisscrossing the country, and we saw that while other good people and other good organizations that do a lot of good were doing a lot of things, they weren't doing it the way we thought we could do it, right? And we also didn't want to necessarily be political, and we didn't want to be this and that and the other thing. And we thought we would join with another organization so that we didn't have to duplicate costs, but we just saw that we wanted to have our own vision and our own way of doing things. But, I think to myself, I never thought that David Fine was going to be a trainer of rabbis in Israel. And that's one of the things that I said to Julie when I got home. David Fine is going to train rabbis in Israel. What do I know about training rabbis, and certainly about Israelis? But even you, did you ever think that you would be training rabbis?
No, I never thought about it. I never thought that I would be a rabbi of community, but because I saw that is a real need. So, like we say, met mitzvah, someone that we need it, and no one is doing that. So let's do it. It's not sometimes when you see a need, even if you not feel that you are the number one person who should do it, but b'makom she'eni she'yeh ish. So we decided to make it together, and we did mistakes through the way, and we
still do mistakes.
And we try every year to be better. And but thank God we made a change.
So let me ask you, because I still wonder about this even all these years later. I go sometimes into other synagogues, both in Modi'in and in other places, and I see people, they're having a good time in shul, right? They come to shul 3 times a day. They go to a shiur here and there. It looks like the same. It looks the same as it does in our shul when I come in. But in essence, it's really not a community in terms of the way we know it, because in most cases, like I said before, there isn't a rabbi. But why do they need anything more? It seems like they're, enjoying themselves and they're just fine, at least from the outside.
It seems.
Right.
No, in some level, if the shul is nice, people are nice, so they enjoy themselves. That's right. But I hear so many times that people say that they miss that. In the time, chas v'shalom, if they have something in their family, the power of community is amazing. In a power community, we believe that we need a rabbi in the top of the pyramid in order to lead and to give the right word to the community when we need it. I know in many families in our shul, in our community, that they used to daven in other places in the neighborhood, and finally they decided to join our shul because they want a rabbi,
right?
Because they feel that this is the right structure in order to have a strong community and to have resilience,
right? I just want to take a little break because we're talking about rabbis so much, and I meant to mention or ask you about this before. You said that you wanted to be a pilot, but I know I've heard you talk many times about your Rav in Chorev, that I think inspired you in many ways. So could you talk about who that was and what he did?
Okay. When I was in 5th grade and 6th grade, I have a rabbi. His name was Rav Aryeh Betzalel, and he came from Yeshivat Merkaz HaRav, and he was a teacher, educator, the mechanech of our kita, and he was maybe I can say that he changed my life because we so loved him, and he was so nice, and he gave us the love of Torah and midot, and we want to be like him. And then, he learned in Merkaz HaRav? All right, we also want to learn in Merkaz HaRav. And I think that he's the one that changed my life. Later on, when I came to Merkaz HaRav, of course, I have other rabbis that also changed my life, and but he, if I can say, he took me to the right way for me in
so
my
could
life.
Could you talk a little bit about Merkaz HaRav and the influence and impression it made upon you, and also you had the honor and zechut to learn with Rav Avram Shapiro for Zatzal for many years, and I know that he made a major impression on you. So could you talk about that for a few minutes?
Yeah, Merkaz HaRav for me is my house. This is the yeshiva that all my Torah I got in this yeshiva. It was Rav Avram Shapira, Rav Arashi, and it was Rav Shaul Israeli that we all know. And it was, in that time, all the rabbis that today in Har Hamor, also they were in Merkaz HaRav. And they taught me the approach, the Rav Kook Sfarim. And I need to think how to describe this year, but this year were the most important years in my life, because when I got in Yeshivat Merkaz HaRav, beside all the Torah of learning Gemara in Iyun and later on Halacha, but I think that the most important thing maybe that I learned in Yeshivat Merkaz HaRav is how to look in our generation, how to look in many things that happened. Like you said before, we have nowadays mix of things. We have miracles, we have chesed from Hashem, and we have difficulties, challenges. And sometimes, if we don't have the right approach, we can give up. Or to the other way, we can say everything is okay. Or I think that in Yeshivat Merkaz HaRav, I learned the Rav Kook Hashkafa that helped me every day to deal with the situation that we have in our generation, to look also in things that they are not going like we want and we expect, and to see how they're also part of the puzzle of the progress of Am Israel.
So let me ask you a question about Harav Kook. I mean, I try to learn or read Harav Kook, and it's very, very difficult to understand. And I even hear you say that it's very, very difficult to understand. So certainly somebody who's so difficult to understand can be interpreted in so many ways, right? And you see a large, range in the Dati Leumi community, and many people, interpret Harav Kook differently than you do, right? So how do you know that you're getting it right, basically?
First of all, I dive into Hashem, that I'm in the right path, in the right way. I believe that not only in Harav Kook, in every rabbi, in every approach, Chassidut, Musar, in order to get what they really meant, we need to learn from we have a tradition from rabbi to rabbi, rabbi to student. And for me, to learn Harav Kook is to learn Harav Kook through Rav Tzviuda, his son, his great Talmidim, Rav Charlap, and Nazir, and they taught their Talmidim. We have a tradition. It's like in Mishnah, in Gemara, and I think I know in America, Rav Soloveitchik, for example. Also, he has many students, but we know that there are a few students that nowadays they are great rabbis, that they're connected to him, they ask him everything, they know, they learn, he rely on them. So the same thing is with Harav Kook. Everyone can learn Harav Kook. Harav Kook was very wide, and everyone can find things that will talk to him from the Torah of Harav Kook. But if we want to ask ourselves, what are the real principles of Harav Kook? What is his main shita? So then we have to go from rabbi to Talmid to rabbi to Talmid.
Right. Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about Harav Shapira, Harav Avram?
Okay. Rav Avram Shapira, he was I think, the most dominant rabbi in Merkaz HaRav when I landed there. He was something very, very special. First of all, he was so smart. He was a genius. Okay? So that for Torah, we know. He knew the Torah, and when he read books, he read it once quick, and he knows everything in his brain. But also, he was so chacham, so wise in his life. He has so chokhmat chaim with sweetness. And like he always knew what to say. I will take a very small example. When we have the chalake of our son.
Chalake is upsharing
of our
when
son.
You cut the hair of a 3-year-old boy.
Right.
Yes.
So I brought to Rav Avrom also, of course, my wife and my mother-in-law and my mother. And they went out to say, this is the sweetest person that we have met. So that was one of his greatness, and that he was genius and he knew the old Torah, but in the same moment, he was so mensch and so all the time smile, all the time. I will take another example to the other. In Yamim Noraim, when he gave the drasha before the shlichut, you can see he became like red, like a tomato, really. And he was talking from his heart, and it was very hard to understand what he said. But I know that my wife was in Izrat Nashim. Of course, she didn't understand any word, but she said that made her the atmosphere of Rosh Hashana. And he was a chazan in Rosh Hashana, in Yom Kippur, in Ne'ilah. That was experience that we cannot describe. All his heart and it was 100% totally connected to Hashem. In Sukkot, when he took the etrog, he kissed the etrog like so many times. And, people from the side can think maybe OCD, chas v'shalom. But no, he helped many people with OCD, by the way. But by telling them, come down, this is not the Torah. The Torah wants you to do thing one time. But he so loved the etrog, the Arbat Aminim, that he kisses like we kiss someone that we love. So he was something.
And you were able to have a personal relationship?
Yes,
there were so many students, right?
But he always was available. You can come to him. And also because we are Yerushalmi, and he's Yerushalmi also, he knows my family, and he heard a few drashot, many drashot from my grandfather, and he bought for me the books that my great-grandfather wrote. So we were in a very good relationship, thank God.
So where did your family come from 11 generations ago?
They come from there are a few roots, but the main root is from the student of the Wiener Gaon, that they came to Eretz Israel, and Gaon Mivilna sent them to Eretz Israel, and they came. It wasn't easy life in that time.
I'm sure.
It was a lot of Mesirut Nefesh. Unfortunately, many times when we talk about the Yishuv, the new settlement in Eretz Israel, people start from the Aliyah Rishona.
Right.
But that was almost 100 years after they already came.
So what year did they come?
Around 1800.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, let's get back to Barkai and the rabbinate and all that. So if I were to ask you, or somebody else was to ask you, what is the most important thing about being a rabbi? What would you say?
Wow. I think that maybe the whole point of rabbi, that it doesn't have the most important thing, because, doctor for a lung, so he is the most important thing for him is what he's doing in the lung, and psychologist, the most important thing is the mental health. Rabbi, I think one of the special thing about rabbi that everything is the most important thing. Like he's dealing with many things together. He is teaching Torah. He lead a tefillah. He giving shurim. He say drashot. He needs to listen to people. He needs to pay attention who need help in the community. He needs to have individual relationship with people. He needs to take care about the kids, about the teenager, about the old people. So I think this is maybe the most important thing about rabbi, that it doesn't have something that is the most important thing. He needs to do a lot of things together. And like we always said in Barkai, the rabbi needs also to send people to, to professional things, to professional people that deal with, but the rabbi, in general, he deals with everything together.
And I know I saw this with myself, and I see this with my friends and colleagues, both in America and here. There's so much to do that no one could do it all, obviously. And certainly, rabbis in Israel, none of our rabbis, have a full-time job. They all have another full-time job because most of them don't get paid at all, and the ones that do get paid a few thousand shekel. Again, because the job is not really a recognized job, and that's one of the things that we're trying to do. But even if you were full-time, you can't do everything. So a lot of rabbis, they, in many ways, they focus. Obviously, they have to do all the things that you spoke about, but they focus on things that they enjoy doing, right? That they're good at, maybe. So what do you like most about it?
So if I don't, like you say, if I don't have enough time to do everything that I want, so the number one priority will be needs of people. Like if I know that people need something, so this is the first thing that I'm doing. I know that there are rabbis that will not do it, but I'm doing that. I even canceled shiur Torah in order to, if I know that someone needs me, I will do it. For me, this is number one in the priority.
So without any names, obviously, just tell us one or two examples. What does that mean, people need you? What do they need you for?
If someone all of a sudden has a, trouble. Right. It could be has a crisis in his marriage, and he give me a phone call, Rabbi, I need to talk with you. Something happened within my wife. It could be chas v'shalom with illnesses. Someone diagnosed in something, so I will, or chas v'shalom ptira, that this is from the kind of the thing that, this is SOS. Right. We need to go. Or nowadays, it could be soldiers. If I see a phone call from a soldier, actually, like you told me before we started the podcast, that will be the first 1 hour that I will not be with my telephone except for Shabbat. And you're right, because I also my family complain about it, and I try to find from time to time things that time that I don't use my cell phone. But basically, I'm going with my cell phone because I know that almost every day I got a few phone calls that is really people need me now, and I try to be available.
Right.
And we talk about it many times that maybe I can do many other things in our life, but I try to be focused in the community. I see that this is my shlichut, Barkai in the community. This is my shlichut. I don't try to find another things to do.
So we've been here for, according to that clock over there, 34 minutes, and we really haven't spoken about the war. So, first we had COVID, which was a very difficult time for everybody, for rabbis as well. The war is more difficult, much more difficult. So what's it like to lead a community and be a rabbi, be a posek, be a counselor during a time of war?
Yes, you're right. It's further, like you say, exactly. It's a continuation of the corona. And we always say that the young kids that were born in this year, they don't know normal life. They were born to a so complicated situation. And I think in the time of war, first of all, the rabbi need to be more for the community. If we talked before about that every time we need to be available to people who need something, so in the time of a war, we have to be more sensitive. There are many families, we always say that in our community, there are only a few parents who went to the army. But when we talk about the next generation, we have, I think, around 200 soldiers in our community. And, when families parents send their kids to fight, they don't sleep at night. They don't, it's very, very hard. Today, there are many chayalim from our community today that they are going to Gaza. Right. And it's very hard to the parents. And the chayalim, they have a lot of questions. And the rabbi in the time of war supposed to be 200% to right. the community.
So you say a lot of questions, like, do you mean halachic questions, or do you mean questions about faith or their own mental health? What do you mean?
Both.
Right.
Like there are, as much as the war is, it's longer and longer, people have also more question about faith. They say, all right, in the beginning, after October 7th, so everyone, we can say, was excited to go to fight against our enemies, and we hope that in a few weeks, a few months, everything will finish. And now that it's 2 years, so people also need a lot of chizuk about the Emunah. And I think that someone asked me a few weeks ago if I talk about the war from time to time. So I told him, I think that there is no even one Shabbos from the beginning of the war that in the main drasha in Shabbos morning, I don't talk about the war. I think that people, all their life is around the war. And this is again, we talk about the parasha, but parasha in light of the war in light of the parasha. Okay? So this is one thing, that the people need chizuk. Okay? You mentioned the drasha even yesterday. After the tefillah, I got so many people that came and say, wow, it was like air for us, like the chizuk. We need the chizuk, and people need it. We need it. I need it. Okay? We need a chizuk. And this is what I say before, that the Rav Kook Torah helped me a lot about it. The Rav Kook Torah, this is what gave me the chizuk. And also there is a halachic question for chayalim. Chayalim, they sometimes, they are so sweet. They are so, we are coming to Yom Kippur or to Rosh Hashana. They don't have shofar. They cannot fast in Yom Kippur. And they feel bad about it. And you have to strengthen them that this is what Hashem wants. I heard once an amazing story about Moshe Feinstein, that someone asked him about, he said that I have a bar mitzvah of my nephew, and if I will be there, I will miss mincha in tzibur, because there is no mincha there, and we will not have enough minyan. So Moshe Feinstein told him, all right, so miss mincha. Mm-hmm. And the person told him, I never miss mincha for my bar mitzvah. I am 40 years old, I never miss mincha. So Moshe Feinstein...
Mincha in a minyan.
In a minyan, okay. So Moshe Feinstein told him, Judaism is not Guinness
Book of World Records.
Guinness Book of World Records, he told him. And this is, I think, something amazing. Judaism is about doing Hashem's will. It's not something, if Hashem wants me to hear shofar this year, and I have the ability, so this is what Hashem wants from me, so I have the obligation to hear shofar. If I am now fight in Gaza, so what Hashem wants me? Hashem wants me now to fight. So this is exactly Avodat Hashem. Avodat Hashem is that we are not in the center that I going to feel good that I hear shofar. Avodat Hashem is to do what Hashem wants from us. And this is a message that I always try to say to the chayalim. Do your best in order to be chayal. This is exactly what Hashem wants from you now.
I wanted to ask you, actually, let me start again. When we originally spoke about this podcast, I wanted to speak about psak halacha, especially during the war. So I would like to speak a little bit about that as we near the end. I'll ask you first, what do you think are the necessary tools in order to be a good posek halacha?
So first of all, I'm not considering myself as a posek halacha for klal Israel. They are the Gedolei Israel, they are poskim, we follow their way. But if HaKadosh Baruch Hu put rabbi in a community, and of course the rabbi learned Torah that he is ra'ui to be a rabbi, so then HaKadosh Baruch Hu give him the siyata dishmaya to be poisek to his community. Okay? There is a story, I think, about the Shach, that once he wrote something in the Shach, and then he regretted about what he wrote. And then he went to some place, and he saw that the rabbi reading the Shach that he wrote, but he understood it in the... not like he meant when he wrote the Shach, like after he regretted. And he said, I think that he has a siyata dishmaya to be in his community to understand the halakha. So this I believe. I believe that if Hashem put me in my community, so Be'ezrat Hashem, I am the right posek for the community. Of course, I took advice from my rabbis and, of course, and from books, and I make that. But finally, this is every rabbi, Bezrat Hashem, if he is a yashar and he try to be yashar and he try to have good midot, he will get and he make learn Torah. He will make he will get siyata d'shmaya to have the posek to his community.
So, do you think it's just enough to be a great Talmid Chacham, or is there something more about it that you have to have in order?
This is what we believe in Barkai, that in order to be posek, you need to know the people who ask you. And nowadays, people talking a lot about AI to be a posek, but of course, that in order to be posek, when some lady, she asking me a question, for example, about kashrut. So if I know already that this lady, she's a little bit nervous all the time about kashrut, so I know how to what words to use when I answer her the question, to make it calm down, and sometimes if I know that the person once a while someone asks me a question about kashrut, so I am more sharp. This is asur, this is mutar. Right. So it's very important to know who asks you the question and what is the background and what is, if you know his personality, it's very, very important.
The story about Rav Moshe that you just told, which is an amazing story. I've never heard that before, but it also shows, and I've often said this, in my own congregation in the past, that many times having to paskin is really a clash between two values, both of the values that are important, right? So davening mincha and a minyan is important, but being there at the bar mitzvah is also important. So most average people would say, oh, for sure you have to daven mincha in a minyan. So how do you know how to sort of pick which value is more important and when?
No, it's... I try all the time to make the cheshbon, I like to sing. It is also very important if you know the family. If someone asks me, for example, if to go to daven or to help his wife, so I know the people. Sometimes I know that the wife will be happy if he will go to shul, and she feels that he is shaliach for her. She is with the kids. Sometimes I feel that it could be chas v'shalom make shlom bayit problem if we go to shul. So
you've told people not to come to shul because they should be at home.
It's not a regular thing, but in cases that I think that it might have a problem of shlom bayit, so I'm telling them daven at home.
So we often hear that a posek will sometimes answer the same question that two people ask differently. So could you tell us, do you have an example of when you've ever done that?
First of all, what I just mentioned. Sometimes ask me where to daven at home or at shul, so it's depending on the situation. And it could be also, even if in a regular question about kashrut, many times we know as a rabbis and many people know that there are machlokot. So there are people that for them, I know that to observe Torah or mitzvot is a challenge. They're not so connected to that. They try now to be more. So if I can be makel for them, if the halacha says it is okay,
lenient, makel's lenient, right?
To be lenient. So, but sometimes I know someone that for him, if I will tell him you have to throw the pan to the garbage, he will feel, wow, thank God I throw, and now I buy a new one because the halacha, so it's depending many things. And also, maybe we'll mention this example, soldier. It's a very common question now about soldier of coming in Shabbat back
soldiers driving back from a base or from Gaza. Right.
So to go to be, if someone know that he need to go in the middle of Shabbat from his house to, this is much easier because he can start the Shabbat here, and if it's something that the army need him to go to Gaza, he can live in the middle of Shabbat. The question is the opposite, if someone can come from Gaza in Shabbat. So this kind of question, I think that the answer, it could be each one different, individual, because sometimes I heard from the parent, and they told me my son called. Sometimes the soldier himself called me, but sometimes he has only 20 seconds. He's talking to his parents. So they told me that we talk with him and we feel that he is in a crisis. We hear in his voice that he's... So I told him, in this case, all right, let him go in Shabbat and come home. Sometimes they told me he can come, he now have 3 days of chofesh.
Right.
And
vacation,
he can,
right?
Okay, he can
well,
come
it's not vacation.
He can
off,
come in
right.
off. And he come in the middle of Shabbat. He can come in Motzei Shabbat and to stay 2.5 days. So then, all right, he will come Motzei Shabbat. He will stay in the base for Shabbat.
So what's the most common question that you've received from soldiers during the war?
It depends. It was a time that the most common question was the kashrut in Gaza.
Uh-huh.
They were in Gaza and they came to houses and they see like they needed to eat, things that they are not sure about kashrut. And of course, Shabbat.
Right.
Shabbat, what is are they allowed to, someone asked me, I'm in Gaza, I didn't sleep for almost 2 hours a day I slept. And in Shabbat, I need a coffee in order to be awake, and there is no kumkum han in Shabbat. So am I allowed to make coffee to myself to the water? So I talk with him, and finally, for this person, I don't think it is a psak. For this person, I say yes. In Shinu, you will make to you the boiled water, and you will drink the coffee because you need it for the war.
Right. And just for those that don't know, Shinoi is when you do something and not the way you normally do it during the week, and that lessens the severity of what.
But of course, right. Each question like this supposed to be by the posek, by a rabbi. And we don't hear in this podcast making psak halacha. We just give example for.
Right. No one should take from this what we're talking about. Everyone should ask their LOR, as we say, their local Orthodox rabbi. So I have 2 questions, and then we're going to conclude. You've spoken about Harav Kook several times and how his philosophy and his writings have helped you so much. Many of the people listening to this are in America, and when you say Harav and the Rav in America, they mean Rabbi Soloveitchik, like you spoke about before. So could you just give a very quick overview, really quick, not necessarily teaching Harav Kook, but how it's informed you in the ways that you've spoken about today?
Rav Kook talked a lot about the... first of all, Rav Kook taught us that everything that we see nowadays in front of our eyes, this is a process of redemption. And Hashem decided to redeem Am Yisrael. So if this is the basic, this is the foundation of our generation, so everything that happened in our generation, we look at all the challenges in light of a process of redemption. And I always like the allegory that when we drive from Modi'in, when we leave to Yerushalayim, so especially in road number 1, we not only driving up to Yerushalayim, we have also down and up. Right. But also when we go down, we still getting closer to Yerushalayim. The down is also getting closer to Yerushalayim. So this is the process of the redemption. Also when we see things that happen, chas v'shalom, to our soldiers, or that we gave our enemies part of Eretz Israel, that it looks like we're going back. It's not mamash back. It's we're going forward toward the redemption, but we're going down in order to go up. And this is give a lot of strength.
Right. Okay, my last question. I'm going to put you on the spot. What's the most annoying thing about working with David Fine?
There is no annoying thing. Rabbi Fine. No, really. I want to say something.
You and Julie speak about this all the time about how annoying I am. So.
Without Rabbi Fine, no Barkai, and in some aspect, without Rabbi Fine, I wouldn't be matzliach in my rabbanut.
Oh, come on, Rabbi. I didn't ask you.
No, we talk. I
asked you because I really want to know what's annoying about me.
We talk a lot about things. The only thing that I can say about Rabbi Fine, that's because he has so big heart, he's taking so many things on his shoulders that it's too much for one person. So we have to choose your mission.
Oh, look who's talking.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Rav Sobol, I want to thank you very much for coming in, even on Erev Rosh Hashana, and a ketiva v'chatima tova to you and your family, a Shana Tova, and hopefully this will be a year where there is shalom and where the geula, that the redemption that you're speaking about will actually happen and come to fruition. So
אמן
thank you very
ואמן.
much.
אמן ואמן. תודה רבה. שנה טובה, כתיבה וחתימה טובה.
Thank you for joining me on Defining Moments. Remember to subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcasts, and leave a 5-star rating and a review. Please share this podcast with your friends who, like you, want to be inspired both by this period in Jewish and Israeli history and by the people who are making these defining moments happen. Let's not squander this unique opportunity. Maybe the next defining moment will be created by you or me. Until next time, I'm Rabbi David Fine.